Welcome back, where today we have two pieces of news. One of them is bad or good, depending on how you spin it, and the other one is most likely bad. And I know that doesn't sound great as a video premise when talking about PSVR2, but trust me, there's a lot more nuance to this than it originally seems, so let's get into the first piece of news for today's video. This is the far easier one to clear up, and that is that we've unfortunately been hit with another PSVR2 delay. Earlier this month, the team behind Breaches said they were confident that they were going to be able to bring the game over to PSVR2 by the end of November. However, because of PlayStation's QA process, this has been delayed indefinitely. Now, I actually predict this won't take as long as, say, Phasmophobia will take in terms of porting over. I think we'll see Breaches come to PSVR2 sooner rather than later, but it is a delay nonetheless, and we always hate to see that, because of course it means we don't get to play the games that we really want to play, and I've been really excited to try out Breaches on PSVR2. Trust me, I've been emailing these devs for quite a while, keeping up with progress and tracking the project as it's been going along, and I'm incredibly excited to try it. But I'd happily take a delayed launch if it means the game is more polished and it means the team are more comfortable with the launch that they're putting out. A delay is almost always a good thing when concerning the product in hand and the quality of said product, and Breaches is no different. I even put out a video stating why I'm so excited for this game to be launching on PSVR2 soon, and here we are, it's unfortunately been hit with a delay. However, I'd still say keep an eye out for this one before the year ends, because hopefully we'll see it out by then. I have no other information in terms of release scale. I've just been told what you guys have been told, which is they'll announce a new release window when they're ready to, and that's perfectly fine. As a quick recap, if you don't know what Breaches is, it's essentially a PvP tactical shooter in the same vein as Rainbow Six Siege, where a team attacks and a team defends, complete with breakable walls and barricades, rappelling, gadgets, and a whole host of guns to choose from, and it's one of the best shooters on PCVR and Quest, so I am ecstatic that it's coming over to PSVR2. Let's just hope that it's fairly soon. Now, the next piece of news is a bit of a weird one, and this is concerning an advert that Sony put out yesterday for the PSVR2 that you're currently seeing on screen now, and the eagle-eyed viewers among you will notice that that first piece of gameplay, well, not gameplay, but pre-rendered visual that they showed at the start of the ad is representing a game that we've never seen before. I would say that the middle of the ad in the old medieval village represents Resident Evil 4, the remake that we're getting a VR port of that I'm absolutely ecstatic for now that I've played Resi 8, but that's a topic for another day. I believe that's the middle game we're seeing, and of course the last game we see in this ad is Horizon Call of the Mountain, a game that came out at launch. I understand why they're advertising Horizon, it's one of their flagships, and so is Resi 4 if that indeed is what the middle ad represents. However, what the hell is the start of the ad? Well, there's two views on this, and I'm leaning towards the first one that I'm going to present to you guys, and that is that this is nothing but Sony marketing fluff to kind of boost up the headset and get people more engaged. While the other two scenes seem to be based on actual games, it's likely that the Sony PR people and Sony trailer team have just put together a cool looking sci-fi visual with some first person movements and hand movements to show off what it feels like to be immersed in the headset, because truly there are some great sci-fi games on PSVR2 like No Man's Sky that kind of make you feel like this. There's nothing that looks like this game on PSVR2, so it's kind of weird that they've opted for this realistic style when nothing on the headset actually represents it. However, it could easily just be, again, the Sony trailer teams putting together something visually spectacular and merging it with a recognizable IP like Horizon and Resident Evil later on in the trailer to get people hooked and interested, and to appeal to a wide range of audiences. You've got the horror fans in the middle, you've got the sci-fi fantasy fans and Horizon audience at the end, and you've got space sci-fi at the start. It's a pretty much perfect mix to encapsulate a lot of audiences, and I understand why they'd put this graphic in there, and to be honest, I would not be surprised if this game is never released as an actual thing or even revealed to be an actual game, and it's just a pre-rendered graphic by Sony that they thought would draw people in. However, I want to layer a bit of optimism on top of this, and let's postulate for a second that this is a real game. A lot of people on Twitter have been saying that this could be a Returnal VR port. I would be absolutely all for this. I never got to play Returnal, I've never got around to touching it, but a family member of mine and a couple of friends of mine have, and they said it was an incredible experience, and to have that in VR would be absolutely ridiculous. I think there's a flat to VR mod on PC, but it does retain the game's third-person angle, so imagine if we got Returnal on PSVR2 in first person. That's what I've heard from people saying on Twitter, So if the start of Returnal looks nothing like what you're seeing at the start of this ad, then maybe I'm completely off base here. But that's what I hear in terms of what this visually kind of links to that's already in the PlayStation space and is a PlayStation IP. Because the other two parts of the ad do actually have games linked to them, so why would they throw this random one in there? Just jumping in here, this is Jammy from the morning after I recorded the last piece of audio that you're hearing. That's why my voice has sounded like it's been put through a blender, because I have just woken up. But a lot of people are saying that this could be the new IP from Firewalk, called Concord, which we saw at one of the PlayStation showcases, or State of Plays, I believe. And I think that's meant to be a sci-fi FPS, so it's possible that this ship interior and this whole scenario could be pulled from that game, so we'll just have to wait and see till we see more Concord gameplay, but that's something to keep in mind. It's a trend of Sony to boost up their games and make them feel more immersive on the flat screen too. We've just had a couple of PlayStation ads thrown around with the Japanese band King Nu, and each of the characters they represent in that advert actually come from PlayStation games. Similarly, there's another PlayStation ad going around that showcases a bunch of PlayStation game experiences, and pretty much all the games they show off there are actual PlayStation IPs and PlayStation games that you can go off and buy, even though the ad is filmed in live action. It represents a real game, so it's weird that this one wouldn't. Part of me really wants to believe that we're getting a sci-fi game or a Returnal port that looks like this on PSVR2. But the more logical side of my brain does say that this is just a bit of marketing fluff and doesn't really mean anything, and that would suck. But ultimately, it's better to err on the side of caution when looking at these things. We had plenty of rumours before PSVR2 came out about a GTA Online VR or a Fortnite VR, and it never happened. And while this is actually something that Sony has published now that we're basing maybe some rumours or speculation on, it's better to temper expectations, because ultimately if these things don't happen, then we're less disappointed. It's not like we have a shortage of things to be excited about in the future. I mean, we've got Vertigo 2, Resi 4, Behemoth, and Breaches coming both this year and next year, so don't get me wrong, there is a whole lot to be excited about. But anyway, those are my thoughts on both the Breaches delay, which is unfortunate but necessary, and the brand new Sony ad that honestly confused me a little bit, but also got me hyped, because this is an ad that has clearly had a lot of marketing value put into it. These are not cheap to make, even the 30-second ones, so it kind of reinforces that notion that Sony do care about the PSVR 2 enough to pump money into advertising that isn't just a basic overview of the headset, it's actual rendered cinematics, and I think that's pretty cool. But anyway, thank you all for watching. If you did enjoy, please do feel free to like and subscribe, and I hope to see you all in the next video.